This is the Disruptive Voices of the Pacific, and today we have yet another powerful episode. This podcast exists to keep disrupting the taboos around issues that we just don't like to speak about, around sex, dating, relationships, pornography, infidelity. And so today we're continuing to do what this podcast is meant to do. And with me, I have my good friend Mele. Hello, Mele.
Hello, Letitia Mbula.
Now, some of you might recognise her because she was the very first Fijian woman I interviewed 3 years ago, actually, this week. The memory popped up on Facebook and I said, it's time for us to do another one. What was the response? Let's just go back to 3 years ago. What was the response? Because you were coming out and sharing your story of abuse. Her story was in my book, The Disruptive Voices of Fijian Women. And that video went far and wide. What response did you receive?
The response was overwhelming. So I'm a survivor of child abuse, and I hadn't shared it to many of my family members and friends. So when people, they kind of understood me more, which was interesting, but it was great to just get it out there, and for me it was a relief. Yeah.
I just honour you, the women who share, and the men, because you kind of go from no one knew, your family barely knew, and then suddenly the whole nation knows. And I remember talking to your mum at the time because it was kind of news to her as well. But her response, if you're listening, Mum, thank you for your courage. She's an amazing woman. Her response was so supportive too, which is hard. So today we're going to dive a bit deeper into your life. Our episode really is talking about the impact of having many sexual partners, because we've done a few episodes on what is the purpose of sex, how to have a healthy sexual relationship, but also, as we've been saying in those podcasts, God has a purpose for sex. He's created it. He means, for it to be so fulfilling, so amazing. But when we actually go outside those confines, well, I wouldn't call them confines, I'd call them outside the boundaries in which God's created, it actually brings destruction.
Right.
Again, I've mentioned this in some other podcasts. So, yeah, because God's ways, He's created things a certain way for a certain reason, so we can flourish. So Mele's going to share a bit of that. So thank you again for your bravery today. Okay, so let's go back into your life a little bit. We've heard your story of the childhood sexual abuse, but generally there's things in our life that set us on a particular course, reasons behind why we go down a path of many sexual partners. So maybe, can you tell us a little bit of your journey?
So growing up, we traveled a lot, and with traveling, I still carried a lot of past trauma from this sexual abuse. So I didn't really value myself, and I didn't have anyone, I didn't even share it with anyone. So at that time, I was just, going with the flow and being a delinquent teenager and young when I, reached the 20s, when I basically not setting healthy boundaries for myself and just entering things anyhow, really, not, focused on what I wanted to do with my life. And I didn't even know why I was doing self-destruction, but I was, really into alcohol. And I guess with that, the music I listened to, a lot of rap and a lot of cussing, and with that alcohol mixed, sex. And I know sex is for marriage, and with me, it was an escape for me. I threw myself into relationships I was not even ready for, and and it got repetitive because I was used to what I was used to.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I kept it to myself, and I had like this front. I was angry, an angry person growing up. And at that time, my mom and I didn't really have a great mother-daughter relationship. So like I was just doing what I thought, I could survive. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, you were a lost young woman who was really carrying, the trauma of the past, which you hadn't shared to anyone. It wasn't healed.
Right.
And so there's pain, which you're really trying to numb, really, isn't it? Through the alcohol,
Yes.
music, and then relationships. So it's the perfect storm. And I've worked with young girls for 25 years, and you've described probably so many of them.
Right.
So what you've been through is, it's not, you're not alone. You said you didn't have boundaries, but did you even know what boundaries were?
No.
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 And you didn't understand your value.
No.
Had
Self-worth.
had anyone ever talked to you about what the purpose of sex was, or?
I mean, back in boarding school, but
Okay. Yes.
then you have a group of us that, well, me, I don't really pay attention much, and I used to wonder why I used to just block out everything and suppress what I really, experienced, and just going at life like I knew what I was doing and just trying to, yeah.
So when, because a lot of this started overseas when you were traveling, when men started to show you attention, was that flattering to you?
To be honest,
Yeah, good.
I never really knew what caught my attention. Like I was mostly with the guys, like just hanging out, like we call each other brothers. Like I was, acting like I was a gangster. So I would do it under, like, I'll just be honest. I used to have this thing where I only not I used to dodge relationships because I didn't want the whole let's have this conversation, blah blah blah. I'm not that type of person. I don't like holding hands or stuff like that. I just like to get right into it. And back then it was easier for me to be with boys that were already in relationships, because after we're done, they'd go back to their girlfriends and do the whole lovey-dovey stuff that I'm not really into.
So you weren't looking for any attachment, just
No.
Yeah. Thank you for your honesty. And again, I know there's other women out there in the same boat. So it's good to understand why. But let's talk about how this impacted. We get the picture.
Right.
How it impacted. And we're going to talk about something called soul ties, because one of the purposes of sex is bonding. It's, God's created sex to be a highly bonding experience so that we are bonded to one person for the rest of our life, because when you're married, you don't always like them. This is what my friends tell me and what I've observed. They don't always look happy, but sex is, a great bonding agent.
Yes.
Tell us, can you explain a bit more, because you've been looking into this area, realizing now that this has impacted you years later. Can you explain to us what a soul tie is?
So a sexual soul tie, it's a deep emotional and spiritual connection. So with two individuals engaging in sexual relationship or the sexual act, and reading about it and the causes. Like right now I'm dealing with dealing with what has after
the
all
strong
that
connection.
Yes.
Are you still feeling somewhat tied to them?
Yes, I'm having dreams
Yeah.
that I don't even, yeah. And the scary part about the soul ties is it's not only the person
Yeah.
that you're having that connection with, it's who they've had a relationship with or been with. So it's their spiritual, emotional ties as well. So with all of that, can you imagine how messed up
Yeah.
my whole brain and
Yeah.
everything? So I'm dreaming, I'm suddenly feeling a different way. So it's messing with my mental health. And I didn't believe in any of this, but reading about it, I'm experiencing most of them. And now with, choosing to be single
Yeah.
for 4 years, and trying to restart that healthy boundary and understanding the
Yeah.
soul ties. That's some serious thing that I wish somebody like had pointed out
Yeah.
before I had, yeah. Now that I'm dealing with all of this,
Yeah. And especially for women, but for men too, sex is not just physical, it's emotional,
yes,
it's spiritual. And so there's things happening that we can't see in the natural,
right.
which tie us together. So, and as a pastor, again, I've been aware of soul ties for many years, and you can get them, not even, doesn't even have to be a sexual relationship, it can just be an
You're right.
unhealthy, codependent
Yep.
relationship where you feel like you're tied down to this person. And so there are prayers that you can pray, and you have some prayers that you pray
Yes.
often.
Yeah.
Um,
One of my cousin and I, we
yeah,
wrote it down together. She really helped me. Thank you, Ella.
yeah,
On how to, yeah, pray for it, pray on it every night. Because sometimes I would, scare myself when I wake up because I'd enter holes that you know, unimaginable holes and yeah, haunting.
yeah. Wow, isn't it? We quite often we're sold a lie
Right.
by society that sex is fun, it's free, it won't harm anyone, but we don't fully understand. And I always like to say there's no such thing as casual sex because it's not the way God's created it to be. It has, outside of God's plan, it does have consequences, but there is a road of freedom. As you've been kind of looking into this area of soul ties and praying the prayer, are you feeling like things are getting better or you're having less dreams?
I have my moments.
Yeah.
It comes like waves, so
Yeah.
I guess it's like grief. You
Yeah.
never expect it.
Yeah.
It just comes and goes.
Yeah.
So
Still on a journey.
still on a journey.
Yes. Anything else you want to say about soul ties?
um, it started from a bad breakup. Well, after my ex and I didn't work out, that's probably the first relationship that I've ever entered, and I really like this guy. It was after that that I started, doing all of the other
Okay.
things. So till this day, I'm still praying. I still dream of him, and still trying to break that connection.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have sexual,
So that was your very first relationship, and
well, real
yeah,
one.
real.
Yeah. I thought I was
Okay.
going to marry him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then that bad breakup really then sent you down
Yes.
this other path, yeah. And that's why we've done an episode on how to break up well and how to move on.
Oh, okay.
Because you can go back and listen to that whenever that comes out, but because quite often rebounding or reactions are very common again too.
Right.
Part of your healing journey too has been counselling.
Yes.
Um,
yeah.
So, yep, you're praying the prayers, but you're getting counselling. I know you've got some great people in your life as
Yes.
well. But of course, you've had another grief this year with the loss of your brother too. So you're unbelievable. That's the reality of life, isn't it? Life is, just really tough. So I admire Mele's vulnerability. We don't always have to be strong. Can we let's talk a bit then about our mental health, and the impact of many relationships, many sexual relationships on our mental health during these. How many years kind of was this period of your life?
Oh wow. How many years? Probably 10 to 15.
Okay, so that's a good chunk. Was there an effect on your mental health? Could you see your self-esteem being eroded? Was depression a part of?
Yes, of course. Lack of self-awareness, low self-esteem. Well, for women, it's our hormonal imbalance. I've got heaps of that.
Okay. So that's a physical effect.
Physical
Okay,
effect,
so
yes.
physical consequence from
Right.
that. Wow.
And mentally, well, I'm still experiencing. I have my highs and my lows sometimes. My worth. Am I worthy? Yeah. I just have like sometimes I have to like self-talk.
Yeah.
Like or just pray and ask God to give me, some loving. Yeah, because there can be dark days.
Totally.
Yeah. And
Have you ever felt suicidal?
probably. I mean, it comes in dreams.
Yeah.
It's not something
Yeah.
I would say and like
Yeah.
think about, but I images would just come or in dreams, falling off things and
Yeah.
What's the point of living?
Yeah.
I've done enough damage,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the soul ties, the mental health aspect. And then, another area that you've mentioned to me is just feeling like your life was just never prepared for all of this.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't your life's dream to end up. So suddenly you find yourself down a road that you never wanted to go. And I guess this is a big part of why we're doing this resource, the book that's going to come out next year, these podcasts.
Right.
What could have been done 20 years ago to help save you from all this pain that you've been in? Or did you just have to do this journey?
Well, after getting some healing, I wished there were more discussions based on, real facts and real issues that we women and girls experience and go through, like real talk. Usually it's just surface-based discussions that don't really, hit the core. But these are issues that I'd love discussions that I wished we probably would have had. And maybe things would have, different outcomes. I can't wish anything anymore, but that's why I'm sitting here hoping that if someone's feeling that way, like, you're not alone. So
it's the whole reason why we talk about these things.
Exactly.
Yep. So now you mentioned that you've been 4 years single, without a relationship.
Yep.
So how do you go from that type of life to, I guess, cold turkey?
Right? I mean, it's not easy.
No, it wouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a journey.
What made you?
Yep.
What made you to choose? Okay, no more. I'm just going to be single for a time and heal.
The stress, the exhaustion, oh my gosh, I did this again. Like get it together, like I'm always crashing into things and I'm like, why did I do that? Oh, why am I there again? Because sometimes I'm always back into the space where, well, what I'm used to. Yeah, I respect myself now to make decisions
Yeah.
and trying, not try, setting healthy boundaries for myself and what I want, and understanding um, how to make decisions for myself and how I do things, and most of all, how to deal with my past, trauma, and how do I deal with it, because I'm still dealing with it. I still have issues. The whole hate man thing. Like I'm still
Yeah.
because of what had happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got amazing men in my life. My brothers, my uncles. Yeah, I mean, I respect men a lot.
Yeah.
It's just how do I go from that toxicity
Yeah.
to having a healthy lifestyle going forward for myself. Yeah.
And that takes a lot of courage. It's easier to remain in what we always know sometimes,
Right.
but to realize, oh, I can't keep going this way.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Mele. Is there any last final words that you want to say?
No one's perfect, and you're not alone in this. I mean, I just aired my laundry out, so you can be real.
So, share your story with Mele. I have talked to so many women in Australia and Fiji, and I know you're not the only one been down this path, but you're the first one that's really said, okay, I'm willing to share it publicly. Not that everyone has to share everything publicly. I think God uses certain people and He's used you in the past and now again to hopefully encourage people that there's help. And if you feel challenged, convicted by what Mele has said today, please reach out to herself or me. I've got a website, Disruptive Voices Pacific, which has a whole range of people who do counselling, different resources here in Fiji, because you just don't want to keep suffering alone. But thank you once again. You're amazing.
You too.
You're one of my heroes, Mele. It takes courage to heal in the midst of everything else. I mean, this year would have been enough just to give up again, but here you are standing up again. So thank you.
Thank you.